been murdered. All the friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. And the bird said nevermore.
You're listening to the Call Podcast with Brandon and Josh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new edition of The Call. It's a Baltimore Ravens podcast where we talk anything and everything Baltimore Ravens football. Thank you all for listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player.fm, Overcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. Well, welcome back to the Call Podcast. We are here to recap the last week in Ravens news, and what a week it has been. Last Thursday, I got to say, the beginning of the draft, potentially the most historic day in Baltimore Ravens history. I might have to say that. They doled out a huge contract to one Lamar Jackson, who, as we are recording this right now, today on May the 4th, May the 4th be with everybody out there, Lamar Jackson has signed it. The ink is dry. He is officially a Raven for the next 5 years and a very, very rich man. Joining me, as always, to talk all about it, all things Baltimore Ravens, my buddy Josh. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, and Lamar's doing great. Because he's a little richer than literally. Wow, what a powerhouse breaking news move hours before the draft. I'm watching draft coverage, and all of a sudden, like, was it right at dinner time? Like, what, right about 5:00 Eastern time? Boom! It was like what the news was like. Breaking news, there's been significant talks with the Ravens and Lamar, and then like 5 minutes later it was like, deal done. Like, they've come to an agreement. It was like bam, bam, and stole the thunder for at least a little bit. Talking about the round one and heading into that draft coverage. But for all it's worth, for all the arguments and the drama, it has come to an end. And Lamar gets the bag, and the Ravens have him for the next 5 years. All I gotta say is wow. And I will say this: there are a few remarks that I made in the waning months, leading up to this, and I have to eat a piece of humble pie because I've said all along he needs an agent. I've been in that corner and being very vocal about that, saying like, look, there's a reason why 99% of the players out there have agents, and there's a very few that don't. It's not like the majority of the league doesn't have agents, and he bucked the trend and got an agent. There's a reason why, right? And I do have to give a round of applause and say, look, he proved me wrong and everybody else, because
he and his
deal got done without an agent, and wow, and what a deal it was. I mean, so kudos to Lamar and his group, and his mom I know was involved in that. So wow, they literally just served it up to us, saying it can get done, and it did. And the Ravens employ two cornerstones right now, one on offense, one on defense, two without agents, and two deals got done in less than a calendar year. So it can be done out there, and a deal like this magnitude, it speaks volumes, especially without an agent negotiating that. But it's been a long 2 years. It's been drama filled. It's been frustrating. The fan base has been divided, as we know. But hey, I'm willing to graciously eat my humble pie. It tastes really good, and no, it has no ranch anywhere on it. You asked about that. I'm going to dip mine in blue cheese. It's historic day for Ravens in Baltimore dishing out that sort of contract, and we're going to certainly talk about it. But again, I just certainly want to start off by saying I was proved wrong with the whole agent situation. So kudos to everybody involved, man. Wow.
Yeah, I'm very happy that this is over. I was sick of it a year ago, talking about this contract negotiation and what it meant for the team, and I even said it mid-season, probably early season. Somebody at the end of this season is gone. It's either Harbaugh or Lamar, and they're both still here, and I'm happy about that. Lamar had a press conference earlier today, and people were asking about some things, asking for a trade and what that meant or whatever. And Lamar pretty much was like, look, that's in the past. We're moving forward. Let's talk about the next season. I want to be on the field. I'm done being an agent for myself. Like, now I get to focus on football. I think everybody wins in this situation. This is a big deal, though. This is a huge contract. It's not the fully guaranteed, like the Deshaun Watson deal. I think throughout the last year or so, it's kind of proven that
It was never going to be. And
yeah,
that was the issue. I think we had to get past that. And I think something changed in the last, month or so that Lamar, it was said this, and I forget, and I don't want to be quoted by saying this, but somebody on the national media, don't know if it was ESPN NFL Network, said the way that this moves forward is Lamar's perspective and way he feels about his contract situation has to change in order for them to move forward. So him getting off the snide on that fully guaranteed deal to now, something changed in his heart to say, you know what, fine. And I think, look, we don't know, but look, the last major contract given out was Jalen Hurts. And I think every contract after Deshaun wasn't fully guaranteed. I can't remember for the life of me if Josh Allen's was before or after the Deshaun Watson. I feel like Deshaun Watson's contract was so long ago. I can't remember when it was. Kyler Murray got paid. Jalen Hurts got paid. There's a few others that have been getting paid and wasn't fully guaranteed. So I think after Lamar probably saw that, my perspective on it, thinking that he probably saw that and was like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to get it. Let me get off the snide. But, it comes at a crossroads with, and I want to ask you about this because, you mentioned something about like the trade request and all the drama. And Lamar didn't want to talk about in the press conference, but you know what? We're going to talk about in the call. And I really want to unpack that because what about all the shenanigans and reading between the lines and the hearsay of the last 2+ years of what was said? You think about the remarks last year, bud. Like, remember Harbaugh at the press conference, being very vague, and they'd be like, I'm just coaching the guys that are here. Remember him not traveling with the team to the playoff game, which rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and a lot of folks had to say about that. Getting hurt for the second straight year, and a lot of naysayers about that. And then it just, a lot came out. And then remember the trade request right before, remember he wasn't negotiating last year. The year went through, then the trade request came out in March. And then the non-exclusive tag, the Ravens were calling his bluff, saying, all right, go Lamar, go find your worth. And then you just seen things transpired. So it's kind of like, and then remember with Lamar, like putting that statement out on Twitter and like kind of like thanking the fans. It's like, well, it whipped everybody into a frenzy because we certainly covered it. And what we saw was evidence that made you lead to believe, like, all right, Lamar, like if you don't want to be here, leave. My stance was always all along, and people, I want to set the record straight. Like, I personally believe he was always going to be here. I'm not saying that now because he signed, and I'm not sitting here tomorrow saying, oh, I was right and you guys were wrong. No, I just ultimately, when the Ravens put that non-exclusive on him, man, I knew that was the Ravens calling his bluff, saying, all right, you feel like you're worth this, go find it. It came out now that Eric DaCosta said in an interview that the ploy was they were already prepared to match most deals that they were going to probably get anyway. I said that was the ploy. I said the Ravens called Lamar's bluff, saying, you think you're worth this, go get it. And if they get a contract, teams, and I think the whole collusion thing was a deflection. I think what it was is teams knew that the Ravens were going to match most deals, so they didn't want to do the Ravens' dirty work and negotiate with Lamar. Then the Ravens would come in and go, okay, we'll match it. You're a Raven anyway. And the Ravens didn't have to do the dirty work. So that's where I think that came involved. And the whole trade request and all the bars being traded back and forth, I feel like now looking back on it now that the deal's done, it was probably all business and all showmanship, maybe for the public and the media that maybe, I don't know if it was done on purpose, but it just made it, now it's all relevant. Like Lamar's kind of right. Like, it's in the past, doesn't matter now. He inked a 5-year deal, make a deal. It doesn't matter what was said or what was done. What matters is now moving forward, right? The future. And that's what he alluded to in his press conference. So I kind of agree with him there. But at the same time, we can certainly talk about it here in all the forums of, breaking down the drama and what was said. I mean, you even were on the show, right? You said it a few episodes ago, you at the offseason, we're like, I don't think it was either Harbaugh or Lamar's not going to be a Raven going forward this year. I think the team's going to look majorly different. And you kind of seen the writing on the wall. It was kind of like made you believe, like, is Lamar not going to be here? Are the Ravens really not going to make this deal done? Are they not going to move? It was like, and it made you think, and it was kind of like, and then people are arguing, right? Fans. It's like, Is he worth it? The team wins with him in the regular season, about the playoffs. There's a lot to go there. And it's like, at the end of the day, I sat at the Scar Lounge. I puffed on my cigar when I was asked, and I said, he's going to be a Raven. And that's how I ultimately felt about it at the end of the day. I said, I don't want to be a Raven, but I just knew. I was like, he ain't going nowhere, because very few teams are going to use his services. Very few teams are in the market for that. Also, I know the Colts were linked at one point, which they needed a quarterback, and they drafted one in the NFL draft with the 4th pick. But what's said and done is that's the problem, is what do the Ravens do at quarterback then? There was a lot of interesting discussions on it, but I think all said and done, it was all business. It was all part of the process, and now it doesn't matter. He's a Raven for the next 5 years. He ain't to make a deal. So what say you, man? What do you think about what was said and done over the last few months recently, over the last two years? Given some of the points that I mentioned there, what do you think, man?
I'm happy the deal is done. I'm happy the drama is over. I think that there's so much discourse on Twitter between fans of what the Ravens did right, what the Ravens did wrong, what Lamar did right, what Lamar did wrong. I think this is why you have agents. Like Lamar did, yes. Lamar saved himself about $8 million by not having an agent, so good for him. But this is why you keep all of this behind closed doors, why you have agents do this type of thing. I thought this relationship was completely strained and there was no way of getting it back. I mean, when Lamar put those tweets out saying that he requested a trade while Harbaugh was at the microphone at that ownership meeting or whatever it was, I was like, how do you come back from that? How do you go into a locker room trusting this guy as your quarterback when he threw you under the bus at a press conference? Now, could it have been something very innocent, like Lamar didn't know that was going on? Sure, it could have been. But at the time that happened, I was like, there's no coming back from this. But you look at them at the press conference, Lamar and Harbaugh, they look chummy. They look happy. Everybody's hunky-dory. So, I mean, I guess, like you said, it's in the past. We all are going to move on. Harbaugh is a better man than me. I'll tell you that much, because if that happened to me, I wouldn't be working with Lamar again. I would have taken that to heart. Might just be that's just my personality. Maybe I need to ease up a little bit. But when that happened, if that would have happened to me, I would have been like, no, I'm not working with that guy anymore. That's
You know
too
what it
far.
makes me think of, though? I know business is business, it's one thing, but it makes me feel like it's like family, right? Like, you can't sit here with straight face and say, well, I've never argued with family or close
Sure.
friends. We all have.
Yeah.
We've all had disagreements. We've yelled at each other. We've apologized. It happens. And that's kind of the way I look at it, right? Like, you're right. Like, coach threw quarterback under the bus. And you echo what a lot of folks, and I was starting to think about it too, like that. Like, my perspective changed. Remember, I was even quoted in some of my group chats. Like, I was out of Lamar's corner because I thought the relationship was strained as well. Like, I didn't think it at first, and I'm thinking, like, now more so than ever, it's like the things that were said and done, it made you believe like this probably won't get done. Maybe the relationship is, and like a lot of my best friends were like, I don't think how they get it done, how he comes back. Like you say, the relationship's so strained, it's negative now. But now it's kind of like doesn't matter. The deal got done in despite of all that. So they overcome the adversity, and I guess they put their feelings aside. But again, we can sit here and ask the same questions over again, but we're not going to get answers. But I'm truly would love to know why Harbaugh was kind of like coerced a little bit and was like, well, I'm just here. The coach guys are here. Why would you say that? Now, knowing months ago, they didn't think the deal was probably going to get done there. And there was progress that led into the last few weeks and months aside. But, it's just a lot of, it makes you think about it and put things in perspective. But again, I think we've all said some things and done some things that, we disagree with and we regret, but we ask for forgiveness and we move on and let it slide. But you're right. Looking at the presser today of the little bit of strips that I caught, unfortunately, I wasn't able to listen live through the entirety, but I did catch some of the highlights, catch some of the things that were said in the statements. And you're right, the body language. I mean, it was. But again, of course, everybody's relieved. They finally got it done. I think Eric DeCosta said in the beginning. No. I think Lamar did when he signed. He was posting signing the deal, and I remember him breathing under his breath, saying "finally." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, finally! Like, finally got done. Like, you finally guys agreed on something." And the terms of it, we could certainly break that down. I know I shared it a little bit ago, but the final numbers came out here. We already knew it was 260 total. through 5 years. It was really 185 million guaranteed was the real number we were looking at, but that's like full like injury guarantee. The real guarantee is 135 due at signing, fully guaranteed. So he's got that in the bag. It's actually 156 of that's over the first 3 years. $72 million signing bonus was really rich there, and he's getting 80 million in year one. There's a no tag clause and a no trade clause. So there's two important things in a deal that are in that language. So no matter what, it's Raven for 5 years until they want to rework it in 2027, right? Yeah, 5 years. So if they want to extend that even further, and the Ravens are in a win-win there with that, because if he goes out and delivers what he said all along, we get a third championship here, Baltimore, they're going to extend that probably well before it expires. And if he doesn't do well, then they're going to let that play out in 5 years and see where we land in 5 years. And I think that's where they're at there. And for all the naysayers out there, and a lot of folks are like, they think they're salary cap experts and like, oh, they're holding the team hostage. The Ravens are not lacking in this department. It's a smart move. I mean, yeah, I don't know what it's going to be back end loaded, but I know front end loaded, at least for 2023. It's cap friendly. Able to make some moves. They signed a corner this week, and we'll talk about that as well. Again, the Ravens, just because they want to shell out 260, and you can certainly get mad at holding the team hostage, right? You're allowed to have that opinion perspective, but keep in mind, I know he hasn't delivered a Super Bowl yet, alone a few more playoff wins. But what was Patrick Mahomes' deal? I'm not trying to compare this deal and this quarterback to Mahomes, but if Lamar went out and won a Super Bowl, and did Mahomes get like $500 million? Was it $500 million over like 10 years or something? Like, talk about holding the team hostage. They couldn't pay Tyreek Hill. So look what the Packers did. I mean, now that Aaron Rodgers is a Jet now, it doesn't matter, but they did the same thing Aaron Rodgers. Make a deal, couldn't pay Devonta Adams, so he had to go. So, it's a business as well, and I don't want to get involved in salary cap structures, and that's another side of the business, but let them handle that. And at the end of the day, I know people are upset about the contract, and he wasn't deserving of it. Again, can have your opinion, but I say this. What do you care? It's not your money. Like, if the Ravens want to go out and spend $260 million on a guy that's won one playoff game that you keep saying over again, let them. Okay, whatever. My beef is, what would you replace him with? If you don't want to give him that contract, I kind of challenge people on that. Like, again, you take last year in perspective before the injury, the Ravens were averaging 27 points a game with him and magically 13-point games without him, so it was half. And I know they barely lost to the Bengals back-to-back weeks with a backup, but I swear Lamar plays in that. Yeah, he don't probably throw for 4 touchdowns and 400 yards, but Lamar plays and stays healthy. Ravens probably at least make the divisional round, not the title game. They march right over the Bengals, and they don't even matter. It was a weak AFC last year, and I feel like the Ravens could have. There's a reason why and my frustration. We can talk about it, whether it's today, tomorrow, in recent, in the next few shows here. But my beef is the problem with Lamar. It's like, look, the Ravens have won 73% of the games that he started. It's remarkable, right? But why doesn't that translate to the playoffs? There's a problem there, and that's the criticism and the frustration. But certainly, but again, happy for him. And like you say, he bagged the money for his mom. Apparently it was revealed in the press conference. That's who he gave it to. He didn't want to trust an agent. He trusts his own counsel, his own mom, and kudos to, with her expertise, whatever it was in this situation, on the hinges of coming with Mother's Day coming up. It don't even have to be Mother's Day, but it's just kind of fitting in that regard. But look, he took care of his own. He didn't hire an agent who just looks out for everybody else, right? And wants to get paid. And it's no disrespect to the agents. Obviously, that's a job and a profession, and those guys need to get paid too, right? But Lamar kind of didn't want to go that route and said, you know what? I'm going to secure the bag for my mom. And dude, that to me means a lot. And I applaud him for doing that. So that's something I support. You can choose not to, but bagging the bag for your mom is that was a special story for me.
Yeah, but he also did say, for Mother's Day, he's going to get his mom some flowers. I think at this point you need to buy her like a field of flowers, not just like a bouquet on Mother's Day. You gotta go maximum out on those flowers, man.
Well, nice segue, because Lamar also did get some flowers.
That's right. But hold on, before we do that, it was a great segue. I will give you that.
Oh, you missed it.
Great segue. However, I have a question for you.
All right, what's up?
with this next 5 years, with the amount, like you said, it's not our money, it's the team money. They can do with it as they please. At what point does this contract become a success, or this contract is unsuccessful? Is it Lamar plays all 5 years? Is it Lamar in the Super Bowl? Is it Lamar winning a Super Bowl? At what point is it multiple Super Bowls? Is this contract, when is it worth it? When is it not going to be worth it? When's going to be like that dividing line to you?
Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. It's worth it when he backs it up. What he said on draft night, going to get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. This is the kind of money that I think that's what a lot of fans are upset with. This is what championship winning quarterbacks get. And, he's not on that level, right? He can't even barely get out of their way in the first round or whatever it is, it may be. I mean, they were a 1 seed marching through teams in 2019, should have probably won it all at that point, didn't do it. Didn't even win a playoff game, got one and done. At that point, when he delivers a championship, that's when it's vindicated. I would also second that, saying, okay, even if you don't want to go that route, when he plays all 5 years and he's healthy, because the last 2 years he hasn't been. So I kind of couple that, because also the success of the team also depends on his health. So I think I may even marry the two and say deliver a championship, but also stay healthy and ball out for 5 years. Play at that MVP level. You don't need to win the MVP trophy every year, but go out and ball. And I heard a lot in the press conference, right? He's excited. He got the playbook. Ty Munkin's going to do things. He wants to throw for 6,000 yards with this receiving core. Then go out and do it. I mean, there was a lot of wholesale changes this offseason. And you look at the team a month ago, the Ravens really had no receivers and pretty much no quarterback. I'm not saying no receivers, as obviously we know Duve and Bateman are getting healthy, but they revamped. They added back on. Lamar's now a Raven. We thought Tyler Huntley was probably going to be that. Not they were going to make a mega trade, and they're going to draft somebody this year. There was a lot of scenarios with that. And I bet, the answer to your question is right there, man. Now that you got and secured the contract and got it done, go out and ball out and prove everybody else wrong. You proved this wrong by getting a deal done without an agent. Why don't you go out and just do what you said you were going to do and deliver it? But here's another thing. And I had a conversation with my friend about this. You look at 5 years from now, that means Lamar played a whole decade as a Raven, right? What if he doesn't deliver in 5 years? What do you do then? Do you let him go? Here's the other part of it. Not comparing, because people can take this out of context. Not comparing Lamar to a Hall of Fame Super Bowl winning quarterback here, but John Elway, did he not win his championship until his final years? Wasn't he in the league like almost 20 years plus? If it takes that long, so be it. I think that's why it's like you don't win the Super Bowl. Like, I think maybe people get spoiled because they look at Patrick Mahomes and winning a Super Bowl in his second year, or Ben Roethlisberger doing it. It's like, it's like instant success. I'm like, or Tom Brady winning it, and stepping in for an injury, and then the legend of the GOAT 7 Super Bowls later and 10 Super Bowl appearances later, it's born. Like, I think that's why we get so spoiled. We see greatness spawn just like that. And it's like, Lamar won an MVP in his first year, and then we get the 1 seed and you go 14-2 and 12 straight wins, and people are like, that was it. And you're right, he has regressed, and we haven't had playoff success, which is true, and people are critical in that, including me. But that's it. You got to go out and deliver. And I feel like, what's that look like? But I don't know. I just feel like, I think the fan base is impatient. We now have the franchise quarterback for the next 5 years. Go out and ball and do what you're going to say you're going to do. And if you want these guys pieces around you, but I don't know if you saw the interview of Mike Florio with Eric DeCosta, but it's not only on the players, but it is on management too. And we've always felt like they mismanaged Flacco's, prime years here, even though, yes, they went out and did deliver a Super Bowl in Super Bowl 47. Eric DeCosta said he's felt like he's let Lamar down and not put a supporting cast around him and give the help Lamar. And I've always said that. It's like they've hit or missed on receivers in the draft. Obviously, they drafted Hollywood Brown. Yes, he has some highlight reels here, but he got traded 2 years later. So, you got to go out and they're doing it, right? Is it'll become the end all be all? No. Does he help? Yes. There's leadership there. Lamar alluded to it in the press conference. He's Super Bowl winning receiver. He's been there. He's dynamic. He's a big name. It's going to help the young guys in our house here. And I feel like it's going to work out. But the Ravens got to do a good job of, we've always thought that they didn't do with Joe. And I feel like they haven't even done Lamar still, is you have to surround him with better weapons. We've always been crying, right? And crying for a good reason. Derek Carr gets Devontae Adams. Yeah, that didn't really translate into success, but Derek Carr got Adams. Tua down in Miami got Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill, had 1,700 receiving yards with really virtually nobody thrown to him because Tua was in and out, and I don't even know who the Dolphins' backup was last year, but Tyreek Hill had 1,700 receiving yards last year. Like, look, Kyler Murray gets DeAndre Hopkins, who the Ravens have been linked to here, and the chatter's been hot and cold, and it's been interesting to say the least. But that's the problem. It's like I've always said that. Like, look what the Eagles lost. They traded for AJ Brown last year, and the Eagles made the Super Bowl, almost won it. So they didn't win it. Almost isn't winning it, but they went all the way. They were the final two teams left. They were the final team left in their conference, left, the last man standing there. So, and I've always felt like the Ravens don't do that. And I've always been saying they overvalue the draft picks. They don't like to trade draft picks for that. And then look what happened this past offseason, or this past season into the offseason. They traded their second round pick to get Roquan, inked him to a long-term deal. And then after the first round pick was done, Eric DeCosta said, I'm pretty proud not to have a second round pick. I'm pretty excited about it because look, it's Roquan Smith. It's a pretty stinking good second round draft pick, wouldn't you say? So, they've done that a little bit. So, and this year they had to do a lot with a little, because in this year's draft, they've had a handful of picks, 5 or 6 at best. They didn't really have anything to work with. So, they had to make each pick count. Not that they don't in recent past or recent memory in past drafts, but they had to this year. Given that they didn't have 6, 8, 10, 12 like they usually do, a stockpile of them. So that's the way I look at it, the outlook of the team. But yeah, Lamar's got to deliver, but it also goes to everybody else. The front office has to deliver, putting the right pieces around them. The rest of the players have to step up, stay healthy, deliver in their own. I mean, it's a team sport at the end of the day, man. Lamar can't do it himself, and I feel like that was part of the issue. He pressed too much, put on himself, and can't be Superman. And got to relax and let your guys help you out. And I'm excited for this year, man. With the new offense, new look, new coordinator. They got rid of their strength and conditioning coach, so maybe guys can stay healthy for once. And I'm looking forward. I mean, this year it's like tempered expectation. Like I'm excited and seeing everything going on, but it's also like what's going to happen. People are coming off injury. The Lamar things put to rest with the drama. So it's hey, tempered expectations, but I'm excited to get there. And we were driving past the bank last night, man, and we said what. 3 months. I mean, literally 90 days plus from now, a little bit less than 100 days, we're going to be playing preseason football in Baltimore. So it's early May. It's going to come quick. Summer's going to come and go, and we're gonna ramp it up. But not only that, but fresh contract. Now we got some fresh Ravens on the draft coming off the draft. What'd you think?
That's right. So this was a different kind of draft class than the Ravens are used to. It was a lot smaller of a class, and you and I said they're definitely going to be taking a cornerback in the first round. They're going to go after the guy from Maryland. That's going to be the number 1 pick, and we were wrong. And it turned out that they went after a wide receiver, Zay Flowers. He was the number 1 pick at number 22, and they stayed put at 22. They didn't move back. They didn't do any trades in the first round. They waited till round 7 to do a trade, so they got to add one more piece to the puzzle. But Zay Flowers, a wide receiver, another sign to Lamar Jackson that they wanted to improve the offense here. They got a brand new wide receiver core, and Zay Flowers is going to be a big part of that. So he's a South Florida guy. Lamar knew of him. Apparently the two of them are going to be working out before training camp starts together in South Florida. But Zay Flowers, wide receiver from Boston College. What was your thoughts on this, round 1?
Well, my thoughts are, first off, I went away from, I think on the call I did say Deontay Banks, right? But then a couple of folks were going back and forth on Twitter. I was asked right before the draft who you got, and I mentioned Zay Flowers in a group of 3 players, including Deontay Banks, Joey Porter Jr., who unfortunately went to his father's old team and our arch nemesis Steelers, of course.
That was the second round too, right?
Yeah, and I knew that was going to happen. Yeah, it was second round. But Zay Flowers was the third guy I mentioned. I had a feeling that if that was the receiver they were looking at, that's probably who we're going to end up. I thought they were going to go corner and get Deontay Banks. I think, he screamed, a Raven, of course, staying in-house with being a Maryland Terrapin. And Giants got a good one. He went to the New York Giants a few picks after us. So
the guys from the lounge are calling the Giants Baltimore North because there's so many Baltimore guys up there.
Man. I mean, literally, they got Wing, they got all these other players, and we've always joked that we remember previously when Rex Ryan went to the Jets were the Ravens of the North because they would take they took Leonard and and then now they had CJ Mosley and they would take all the Ravens players.
Yeah.
So now it's the Giants at this point. No, I mean, sitting at pick 22, a lot of folks were like, do they trade back? I know there's some chatter on the call Facebook and Discord. We were like, all right, do they trade back? Do they stay put? I felt like they were going to stay put with the value they had there at 22. There was a lot of good players falling. There was a lot of good value. But what happened was historic. For the first time ever, there was a run on receivers, and 4 of them went in a row, including the Ravens at number 3 there. Not number 3 pick, but number 22, obviously. They took the third receiver in a row, and it was Zay Flowers. The knock on him right away was a lot of folks were like, he looks like a Hollywood Brown lookalike, and he's undersized at 5'9". Immediately thought when I saw 5'9", 5'10-ish, I was like, there's another receiver out there. Again, don't want to compare a college rookie to current NFL star, but Tyreek Hill is pretty small. He's 5'9", 5'10", caught 1,700 passing yards last year. So leading receiver. So size does matter, but does it really? Because look, we know small dudes are balling out. Ray Rice balled out here for years as a running back. J.K. Dobbins is his own right. You don't need that big Jamal Lewis, Derrick Henry bruising back, even though we missed those days. But now it's quicker and more finesse in the run game, and now in the passing game. And I feel like the Ravens they kind of want speed. And at the end of that, because I didn't really know much about him, right? Boston College receiver. Saw some of the highlight reels. I was like, okay, it looks like he's got some good hands, right? Good explosive plays. But Eric DeCosta says something stood out to me. And maybe this is why we don't do the draft. We don't draft for the team and we don't really know who these players are. This is why they're scouts, and this is why these guys do their homework. Eric DeCosta pretty much said in the post-draft presser at the end of the first round after they drafted Zay Flowers, he fit what we like to do here on offense. So the Ravens are doing something. They're building something. They got rid of one coordinator. They hired another. Now they got Lamar locked in. They got Zay Flowers. They acquired Odell Beckham. We understand it. We got Deuce still. We got Rashad Bateman. Got Mark Andrews. The Ravens have a vision and a game plan of what they want to build offensively. And Eric DeCosta and his team felt like Zay Flowers fit. Now, whether it was a couple of the receivers that went prior to them, I thought they were going to get a couple of the receivers, one of the receivers that, I didn't mention him by name, but I kind of felt watching the draft coverage, I was like, I think they're going to get Nebo. And I'm like, they better get him. And then he didn't. And then now looking at the 4, I feel like, by the way, I feel like Addison, who went after us to the Vikings, I think he's going to have the breakout year. I mean, put Addison with Justin Jefferson, look out, because he'll make immediate impact. But not that Zay Flowers won't for the Ravens. I'm interested to see how this plays out. Do I feel like he's undersized? Because again, I think fans crave that big high point ball receiver, I think the Seahawks got Higbo. It's I think but speaking of the Seahawks, you think of DK Metcalf or some of these big physical receivers, Devonta Adams of the Raiders. We want that 6'3", 6'5" guy that can just go up and get it, right? And the rate, it's again, everybody was kind of disappointed. The fan base was excited, but a lot of folks were kind of that chatter started. All right, it's gonna be another Hollywood Brown, a few home run plays, but we're not going to get much out of him, and it will probably do the same thing, burn him and trade him in 2 years and not get a contract, and we'll see. But again, Ravens have had a bad history since '96. Cannot draft a receiver. Now they can add one to free agents all day long, but will this be the receiver that finally pans out? Will Zay Flowers be it? Time will tell. But intriguing pick at 22. I mean, look, Steve Smith loved it. A lot of immediate reaction. I mean, he was compared to that. I hate doing player comparisons, right? But that's kind of what you go to when you're doing draft analysis, and when you see these rooks come in, you're like, all right, what's their playing style? Who are they compared to? Steve Smith boasted about this pick, and he kind of called out Rashad Bateman of going over the middle in the same regard. So saying, hey, Odell does it, Zay does it, they got to get over the middle and catch the ball. So got to step up. And not only that, but a lot of pundits and NFL current former players were loving this pick for the Ravens, saying, oh, man, more dangerous on offense now. Now they got Lamar locked in right before the draft. They give Lamar a weapon right away. They already got Beckham a week or so ago before that. So things are falling into place. So you figure in the span of a couple weeks, the Ravens solidified their quarterback position and got 2 receivers. So they're addressing it. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. The Ravens kind of they want to go more track team and speed. I'm interested to see how he fits. Does he play in the slot? Is he going to be that second? I don't envision that. I mean, I envisioned Odell being in the slot, but now they got Flowers. I don't know. I'm interested to see what the formations go. But again, we don't know this Todd Monken offense. So we've yet to see it, right? So we don't know what that's going to look like with schemes. And this is why I'm very intrigued. But, look, I'm not in love with it saying like, oh my God, and I'm gushing about this pick saying, oh my God, the Ravens are awesome. But I mean, we know they're awesome in the draft. But again, I'm not sitting here saying, you know what? I hate this pick. I'm like in between. Look, I'm like, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I like the pick. I feel like it's suitable for what they want to do. It's an offensive weapon. But again, with that wide receiver, they don't hit on it. So I'm hoping this is the one and only time in the last 20-something years that they finally hit on a receiver in the draft and they finally offer him a long-term contract like Lamar did. So I don't know. I'm waiting for it. I don't know if it'll happen, but until then, look, let's see what happens. But I think for the most part, from what I've seen the highlights, he's going to be the explosive player that we need. Ravens were, if they weren't second to last, they were dead last in passing last year. Now I know Lamar wasn't a big part of that. Giving that stretch, he kind of disappeared in week 4+ and then got hurt. But, if he wants to go out there under pressure and he's excited to throw the ball and we want to throw more, these are the kind of tools you need and the kind of players you need on the team. So and they didn't draft a running back. They drafted a receiver and they added a receiver and free agent of Beckham. So you can kind of see where the Ravens want to go, right? I think it's more pass happy, but I don't know. What say you, man? What say you about the Zay Flowers pick on your end?
My first reaction to seeing Zay Flowers, I was like, wait, that's Hollywood Brown. That's the exact thing I thought when I saw him on stage. And I was like, that is that the same guy? Did we just do this again? Like, is this Eric DaCosta? Is this the kind of wide receiver he likes? Is he just, these are his guys? So I don't follow college football at all. So I have no idea who any of these draftees are. So, I mean, we'll have to wait until rookie camp that's coming up this weekend to see this guy on the field potentially. Let's see what he can do. Hollywood Brown had a great beginning of his career here in Baltimore. If Zay Flowers has a career like that, we're going to expect to see Zay Flowers catching a long ball from Lamar Jackson against the Miami Dolphins week 1. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I like what Steve Smith said about him. A lot of people were saying Steve Smith vibes from this guy that have seen him play in college. I always like Steve Smith as a player as well. He even said as an analyst that Zay Flowers was a good one to get, and he's like, look, if Rashad Bateman or Odell Beckham or whoever else, the other guys that are in the wide receiver room, they want to compete, you need to compete. Like, he was not mincing his words here. He was like, look, if you want the ball, then get the ball, So I liked what Steve Smith said there, but if this guy has the speed of Hollywood Brown and the attitude of Steve Smith, that I'm down for this pick. It'll be a great pick. This offense will be scary as long as everyone is healthy on the field and they work well together. So I think the reps between Lamar and Zay Flowers, maybe away from the castle before training camp, if we can get some of those in as well, I think that would be great. So I think that's what it really is. This guy, it looks like he's got all the talent in the world. So I'm excited to see what Zay Flowers does on the field for the Ravens this year. Now, let me ask you, before we go to round 3, you know how I like my what ifs. I'm gonna get you a little. It's gonna be a weird question, okay?
All right.
Let's say the Lamar Jackson deal doesn't get done. Let's say that they're still stalled out. Nothing happens. He doesn't agree to anything, and it's draft night. And that guy that everyone saw in attendance in Kansas City, Will Levis, sitting there waiting for his phone to ring, and he was projected to go number 2 in the draft, and he keeps falling and falling and falling. If Lamar didn't sign his contract or agree to that contract and Will Levis was sitting there at 22, do you think the Ravens would have taken a shot on him round 1?
Great question, because I was curious why he fell. I think the Titans got an intriguing pick there, early second. I think you do. I think you do it as an insurance policy and say, do it. Why not? And maybe it would be a catalyst to say, like, hey, Lamar, we got your replacement here. You want to get a deal done now? So, I mean, maybe it's another chess move in the drama-filled saga that it was. I don't think that if that were to be the Ravens and that what a scenario, I think, hey, I would pull the trigger. I would have done it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, man, you got to feel who told that guy to show up night 1. Like, if his agent told him, hey, you're a shoo-in, you're going to go in the first 10, you got to go dress up, bring your family, bring your girlfriend, I'm firing that agent. Like you obviously don't know what's going on. You don't know what the talk is around there. And what owner was like, oh, we're going to take you. We're definitely going to take you in the first round. I feel for the guy. I can't wait to see what he does. Ryan Tannehill, I believe, is the starting QB for the Titans right now. He's only got 1 year left on his deal, so we might see Will Levis later on this year, potentially next year. But if I'm Will Levis, man, I'm ticked off. I'm annoyed. I'm going to be using that when I'm on the field for the Tennessee Titans. So AFC potentially just going to get even harder for the Ravens to win going forward. But anyway, I just thought of that. I was like, man, if this Lamar deal didn't get done and that guy dropped so far down to the second round, would the Ravens have taken him? And, would that have been a sign to Lamar? Hey, what's up with your deal? We got this guy waiting in the wings. But I don't know. Could have been fun. Who knows? Could have been like that Draft Day movie. It came out a couple years ago. So let's skip it. Round 2, of course. Roquan Smith was our pick in round 2. Congratulations, Roquan. Happy to have you here. Round 3, we got a linebacker, Trenton Simpson from Clemson. Now, Patrick Queen had quite a little bit to say after that pick happened. He just kind of went like a sheesh, tweeted out a sheesh or a huh,
Now,
or
was
something
the
like
sheesh
that.
in reference to the pick, or was it because the Ravens aren't going to pick his 5th-year option up, which came years later?
Yeah, that came a little bit later. Patrick Queen not getting the 5th-year option. This signing and this year are going to be huge for Patrick Queen because either he's going to make some money here in Baltimore in the long run if he has a really good season, or he plays so well the Ravens can't afford him and he goes somewhere else and makes some bank. But either way, Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, they're going to be a great tandem to have on the field this year. But will we be adding Trenton Simpson this year to that will the tag team become a trios? That's what I'm wondering here. So again, I don't know anything about this guy. Seems like a good plan for the Ravens. They said that this one, a lot of guys got picked up before they got to him, and this guy really was a best player available at the time pick.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I heard too. And I'm curious to know what names. I haven't heard any of the names that went off the board for the Ravens. I'm curious to see what that looked like. But I felt like this was kind of worked out well for the Ravens at best player available, because what I'm hearing the word on Trenton Simpson, as soon as it was picked, I kept getting messages and group chats saying like Ravens got themselves, and there was a report out there that this could be the steal of the draft. Linebacker out of Clemson, right away I got feedback. There were some folks that were pouring in some, I guess, a scouting report, you could say, on Trenton Simpson. I knew much about him, right? Heard from a Clemson alum. He can get over the field. He can also sack the quarterback and cover tight ends. He's very good. He's very solid, and he's got a good ratio of coverage and blitzing. So a lot of folks are on the side of the great pick. Not only that, but there were some stats out there from Relative Athletic Score, RAS. Said Trent Simpson was drafted with the 86th pick in round 3. He scored a 9.84 out of a possible 10 on the RAS, which is called Relative Athletic Score. This is ranking linebackers, and he ranked 43 out of a possible 2,652 linebackers, all the way from 1987 through 2023. So the scaling system dates back to 87, when I was 1 year old, by the way, and he ranked 43 out of that ranking system. 43rd best linebacker in the last 30 plus years. So I have that. If anybody wants to see it, I have a screenshot of that grading system. They got a good one, I think. And yeah, Patrick Queen probably is sheesh, because, whether his job's in jeopardy, what the Ravens want to do at linebacker. But look, I think they solidified themselves with this pick. I think this was a play like a Raven pick. Saw the tape on it as well. Not only that, but just listening to draft coverage, he ended up being on XM. He was interviewing on NFL XM radio. So newest Raven, Trenton Simpson. I'm excited to see how he looks on the field. Heard some nothing but great things. So the feedback already was positive, saying Ravens crushed it. Got a good one at best player available for that. Not only that, but I know a lot of fans were clamoring for that corner, right? And it was like, when is that corner going to come? Looked around 4. Did it come? No. Moving on to round 4, they drafted an edge rusher to get after the quarterback, Tavares Robinson, in round 4. And looking at the tape of him, he's a 6'6" edge rusher coming out of Ole Miss. So SEC type player. The Ravens already addressed that, so you can see they went that offensive weapon early on in the first round. Next 2 picks, addressing the defense, getting after the quarterback, covering that, with the running and the blitzing there. So run defense versus blitzing. So they solidified the edge. Again, not mad at that because, hey, Ravens do have a problem getting after the quarterback, but now looking at it, it's kind of like a who's who. They got Jabo, they got Owe, they got Tyus Bowser, they got Patrick Queen, they got Roquan Smith, they got Trenton Simpson. They put an edge rusher there. And it's important too because even though that wasn't Calais Campbell bread and butter, but Calais Campbell's missing on the defensive line. And we talked about that pre-draft. It was like, what do the Ravens do? And yeah, this doesn't fill the void because I feel like, but you can't fill the void of an all-pro like a Calais Campbell. But, Calais Campbell was certainly, was approaching 100 sacks in his career and just was one shy before he left. But no, did he get his 100th here?
I don't think so. I don't think he did.
I would have remembered it. I think it was on the cusp when he missed it. Maybe he's at 99.5. But Tavis Robinson, doesn't fill the void, but he's certainly, something that was a need for the Ravens, and they addressed it. So certainly, you can't really scoff at that, right? You're getting edge rush in the 4th round. Now we have to look at the 5th round, right? They finally got the corner they needed. Tell us about the corner.
Now this corner, I believe I'm saying this right. Is it Caillou Blue Kelly? Is that how you say the first name?
Caillou Blue Cheese Kelly.
Yeah. All right. I know what jersey you're getting this year.
Blue Cheese Kelly. They didn't draft a player named Ranch, I'll tell you that.
Kelly,
dude, I was ready for that. I teed it up on a tee. Dude, I couldn't wait to swing that one. I think I'm going to pronounce it Caillou Blue Kelly.
All right, Caillou Blue Kelly.
I'm going to keep saying blue cheese. So
I apologize if that is not correct, Mr. Kelly. I am sorry about that. It's a Stanford guy. He is a cornerback. He's a 4-year starter at Stanford. 5th rounder, though, he's probably not the answer to the cornerback issue we have right now. For this season. I don't know if they're going to go out and get Marcus Peters back at some point before training camp starts, but this is definitely a depth guy. He can fill in when needed. You do have guys like Brandon Stevens, who I think could also be there right now. He was really good last year. I think this is more of a depth move because cornerback is a position that's very important to the Ravens, but it also loses a lot of players through the season.
There is a void because Marcus Peters hasn't been brought back.
Right. And there's potential he could come back.
There is. And that's where I think a lot of fans were worried. It's like, they kept looking at that like, yeah, we get receiver or any skill positions, but it's kind of like they circled that and was like the Ravens starting the year last year were even with MP on the field. They were dead last in pass coverage. I mean, they got remember the second game, they got torched with the Dolphins. So, but I'm confident with this pick because you know why? I brought up a name earlier that there was a pick after the Ravens that went to the Vikings, Jordan Addison. Caillou Blue Kelly covered Jordan Addison in college.
Okay.
For USC. So Stanford, USC, Pac-12. There's a connection there. So, and I saw the tape on that. I felt confident. I'm like, all right, like you said, 5th rounder might not be the answer, but it could be. Why not? There's been some diamonds in the rough late rounds. Don't always have to be a 1st or 2nd round draft pick to make an impact, my friend. And we already know, the crazy as he is, Antonio Brown. I think Antonio Brown was a 5th rounder. I think 190 something overall. Julian Edelman was a late round pick. We know Tom Brady was. You can find these guys anywhere. How many 1st and 2nd round busts have we seen? And so, but again, I'm excited that they dressed that with this specific player and with his expertise of covering that kind of receiver in college. I'm certainly okay with it. And to being him added on defense, they do address the corner. But not only that, but sidebar, they did add a corner this week, Rock Ya-Sin, not draft wise, but as a free agent to solidify the corner position. Again, he's a young physical corner, has a background in wrestling, and there's a reason why you go out and see the tape on him. What better name than Rock Ya-Sin? So no, they didn't draft him, but they just signed him this week to a good contract. He wanted to be here, wanted to be a Raven. Felt like he does play like a Raven, has that, the instinct, playing ability. So not only in the draft, but in the free agent pool, and they do add and solidify the corner position. So I feel like the Ravens they're patching holes, man. They have holes to address, and they're doing it. And not only that, but I think going into round 6, they had 1 pick left. They didn't have a 7th round pick. And they went offense on that one. They picked an offensive tackle.
Yeah, you tackle this name.
Oh, you want me to tackle this name?
You tackle this name.
Apologize in advance, my friend. Salah, Omave, Lelu.
Lelu, okay.
Lelu.
Not too shabby, I gotta say. You did pretty good there.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I think you're the first one that butchered Haloti Ngata's name when he got drafted. I think.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, Nagata is probably what I said.
Remember the bid on NFL Network when they were talking about Odafe and he was like Odafe, and it was like Peter Schrager was like getting it wrong every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Yeah, good luck with this one,
yeah.
Schrager.
I think I got it, but I have to actually find audio coverage of his name maybe out there and see if I'm right or wrong. But apparently his nickname, or they call him Salah, so maybe we'll call him Salah for short. But they closed out the draft by picking a 6'5", over 300-pound offensive tackle. So again, need to protect the quarterback, run pass block, and it seemed like last year both Lamar and Huntley, not Lamar Huntley, but Lamar and Huntley, I should say. They clarified that they both running for their lives. I felt like we just couldn't hold the blocks. Not to say we're not, the guys at the front can't get done. We need to bolster that a little bit further. And I think this one is that kind of deep pick stash. Maybe makes an impact, maybe not. We'll like to see, but love the upside on it. Can't really get mad at it in the 6th round for offensive tackle for his skills at 6'5", 300 plus. Pretty good.
Not bad. Now, everybody thought that was it for the Ravens. The guys at the lounge went to record their podcast, but hold up. The Ravens trade back into...
This one. I say this one just for you.
I appreciate that.
Who did they trade back to get?
They went round 7, number 229. Why couldn't it have been 213? And they went with Andrew Voorhees. And he is a guy from USC, and he's a guard. He tore his ACL at the Combine this year, so he will not be playing at all this upcoming season. But Andrew Voorhees, he's a guy that I knew absolutely zero about, except when I saw Voorhees was being drafted by the Ravens. I got, please make this team so I can have a Voorhees jersey. Give him number 13, please. Because he could just be like Jason Voorhees, Friday the 13th, that great franchise. I love me some horror movies. I want to see a Voorhees on the field. But this guy tore his ACL at the Combine and then did 38 reps on the bench press after with a torn ACL. That's a bad man right there. That is a tough dude right there. I think he will fit in perfectly with the Ravens, and hopefully in the 2024-2025 season, we get to see some Voorhees slicing and dicing on the field.
Well, that's kind of what I was excited about for you. I know you love your horror, and you were all excited about this pick for sure. But again, like I said, does Duvernay give up that 13? That's kind of fitting. You have to give it up, Duve. I mean,
please.
Voorhees 13. If not, I think you'll do a custom one. I think you'll do a custom. Are you going to do a custom jersey?
I did a custom one for Kamar Aiken back in the day, so I could definitely get me one for Voorhees.
I think you can do that. But no, this, again, he's like you said, he's hurt. He might not make that impact this year coming off the injury, but that recovery, and like you just shared with us, that just speaks volumes. Maybe that's what the Ravens were looking at, saying this could be that pick that, practice squad or kind of deal, maybe, kind of filling the ranks a little bit. But, again,
I think Josh Brinkley, our buddy Josh Brinkley, actually told us that if he hadn't torn his ACL, he was being projected to go in the 2nd round this year.
Really? So we got second, maybe 3rd round talent for a 7th rounder to trade back in. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ravens made a splash. They got back into the draft, which was a nice little notification I got saying the Ravens are re-entering the draft again and getting a new player. I'm like, got back into it, didn't they? Couldn't help themselves, but didn't have to give up a lot to get back in there. It was a future pick. So I can't remember who they traded with. Was it Vegas?
I'm not. I don't have that information at the moment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't see the team name. I just got a notification that just said, and looking back when it just said the Ravens trade back into the 4th or into the 7th, I should say. Sorry, and they select Voorhees, and I was like, oh, okay. And there's your recap of the 2023 NFL draft. Feel like the Ravens across the board, they got some grades. There were some C's handed out, there were some A's, and there were some B's. Overall, I'm going to stamp a B grade on it. Like, look, they always draft well. I'm not going to sit here and drink the Kool-Aid and give them A's or A pluses again, but let's see what they have. And I'm going to go middle of the road. I'm going to give them a good, maybe even a B plus, a higher grade than that, saying like, look, because they addressed the holes. The Ravens are weak at corner. They're addressing the wide receiver room. They got a top pick there, and let's see what happens with that. The only thing is, we understand that they haven't hit a home run on that at all in their draft history. We'll see. They addressed the holes who they needed to, where they needed to, and not only that, but they added a fresh crop in the undrafted free agent pool, which one I got to see play last year. I went to a couple of Delaware Blue Hen games up the road, 995. Nolan, they drafted Nolan, the quarterback from University of Delaware. So excited to see what he can bring maybe to the Ravens in the future. I don't know what that could be, a practice squatter right now. Phil Body's on the squad, but I like that. So it's a name I'm familiar with, at least with the undrafted free agent pool, the undrafted pool, I should say. So overall, I thought it was a very clean cut draft. They didn't make the splash. They didn't, do what the Texans did, obviously, in trading, which, they had the second overall pick, and then they traded to get number 3 back to back. So the Houston Texans, with the surprise of the draft, not only drafting their franchise quarterback at 2, which hoped to be there at CJ Stroud, but they traded back in to get their cornerstone on defense. So they traded once they back in, but up. So there's quite a bit of moves made, but overall, I think last year's draft in the first round was a little crazier. But again, you can think the Ravens. I've heard all of it, a lot of folks, but you don't know. For the hardcore college football fans out there, they know these players, and they can kind of really put that real opinion on it, and the real grade, and be more fact based. Me, I look at it as, look, the Ravens have always been done well drafting. Yeah, there are some misses, but overall, they're one of the best in the businesses to do it. That's why I kind of want to give them a B plus grade. Because look, at the end of the day, no matter where you pick, 1st or 7th round, at the end of the day, it's a lottery. It's luck. Did you get the right player? Will this player pan out? Will they stay healthy? I mean, just look at the last few years. Some of the receivers didn't pan out. I'm like, look, Baker Mayfield, first overall. I don't even know where he's at this point. Lamar's got a big mega deal. Those are the kind of deals that first overall draft picks get, not people who are picked 32nd, and he's league MVP. So you just don't know where you can find folks, and where they fall and where they land and how they help the team. So at the end of the day, again, we can break down the draft picks all day long. I'm excited for these guys, and that's what it is. I'm excited because these guys are realizing a dream, man. They went to college. They probably didn't think they were going to go pro. I mean, they had the ability, right? But you do a college career, go through your collegiate experience, and go earn your degree and go play some football, and might work out in an NFL gig. And who knows? If not, got to go get another job. So I'm excited for these young guys to get picked, because there's only 200 plus picks every year to get picked, and only a few select of them pan out and make contracts and become stars of the NFL and maybe future Hall of Famers. So can't wait to see how it unfolds for not only the Ravens, for all the other teams involved. And can't wait. There's futures being made, and let's see what these newest Ravens have.
That's right. And late breaking news here on the call. Old news when you guys actually listen to this, but we officially can say that cornerback Kelly, we've got your boy Lalulu, or however you say it, apologies to him, and Voorhees all officially signed their rookie contracts. So 3 down, 3 to go. They are officially signed, sealed, delivered, Baltimore Ravens at the Castle. So 3 down, 3 to go. Here we go. Season starting, guys. Rookie camp's right around the corner. So, Josh, have we covered everything for this episode of The Call?
A little bit. I'm gonna get something else out there.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, and it was remiss to saying this with the Lamar situation in the beginning, but there's a lot to unpack there. But I want to ask your thoughts on this. I'm going to see if you're seeing what I'm seeing, or if I'm just going crazy. But, we understand that there's been division in Ravens flock for the last few years. We can certainly say that. And I feel like more so, and this isn't coming from, the contract was the catalyst because it finally got done. But I feel like I had these feelings, especially going into last year, long before a deal even got struck, was, I've always said, for the name on the front jersey, not the back. And I feel like, me and you do the podcast. We talk Ravens. We're very good friends. We do it, for the fans out there, but we also do it just because we love to do it, right? We're not paid media. We don't have to be, always roses or always doom and gloom. Like we call it, I guess we call it down the middle, right? We say what's on our mind and how we feel in the moment, week to week. And raw and real. It's a call. It's real talk. But, I feel like lately, I've kind of like, look, I don't want to like live life as the fan with the purple glasses and the purple Kool-Aid and like everything's fine and nothing, the house isn't burning down and things aren't fine. You can certainly be critical of your team, but like what my frustration lies, especially now with the contract being signed, you're seeing the ugliness still come out. And I'm seeing fans that were like, again, I know the Ravens lost against Dolphins, but I will point it back to that Lamar's touchdown run in that game that put us up 35-14. I remember, certain fans being at the game and like certain fans online, like all elated, right? And then now these same fans who were not only with that touchdown round, but other things, right? The Ravens doing well and winning games and making plays, celebrating that success, now coming out and even with the contract, Lamar's a bum, not worth the money, hope he breaks his leg. You're hearing that chatter and seeing that chatter, like not deserving, he's selfish, he's holding the team hostage. That's how you feel. That's how you feel. But for me, it's like, and I want to hear your thoughts on this because this is the first time I'm kind of addressing this, I would say publicly, right, on a forum like this, because it's my thoughts and I'm frustrated because I look at it this way. Yeah, I feel like when you're a fan, you're ride or die, right? Not saying like, oh, you have to think everything's roses, right? Like there could be problems. You can be critical, but I'm seeing straight hatred for Lamar even after he get the bag. And I'm like, look, you can be critical. We're critical here on the show. We're always critical, right? Do better. Like you said it when you challenged me with the contract. Like, what does he do with the contract in 5 years? You better go win a championship now, bud. Like, you got the bag. Go do it. Like, I'm not saying like, get the bag and sit on your hands and who cares and let's go out and lose football games. Like the frustrating part is it doesn't translate into playoff success, and that's the other problem. And we're all frustrated with that. But what I'm saying is people just straight hate, man. Like, and what I don't get is these same fans, you know what they're going to do? Turn around and do in September when they win football games? They're going to post all happy. Oh, Ravens go out and ball. That's my team. But do you realize that in order for the Ravens to win football games to be successful, Lamar's a big part of that, right? On offense, he touches the ball every time, right? Do you know if the Ravens score touchdowns? You know who's a direct result of that, right? Like, to me, I can't wrap my head around and understand people's mindset of, and I'm talking not critical, but straight hatred for the guy, but then going out on Sundays and Mondays and Thursdays and celebrating the success of the team. I call those fans out. I will continue to call those fans out because I don't think you can do that. And I'm not letting them get away with it. I'm holding people accountable. And you might call that, I don't know if there's a term for it. I don't know what you call it, but you might be like, Josh, you might be wrong. I don't care. I'm sick and tired of like when the news broke and people are just comment left and right, straight hatred. I'm like, I'm just seeing straight up hatred. Like, what did he do to you? Like, you're mad because he only won one playoff game? Okay, I get it, right? But it's just like, I'm seeing fans who were like all about Ravens. Now it's like they're mad at Lamar for some reason. But then that's my problem is, and I even challenged the fan openly on the comments on Facebook. I said, help me understand. I don't think you can be a fan. I told him to find a team to root for because I was like, I don't think you can be a fan of the team if you hate that guy so much that has a direct correlation of the success and failure of the team that you can't root for the team to do good. I just don't see the connection, man. I mean, I don't know if I'm crazy. I don't know. I would love to know your thoughts on that situation, on that perspective, but I just want to talk about it, like unpack that. Like I'm sitting here and it really bothers me. Like, look, be critical, but what I'm seeing is like straight hatred, and I've had enough. I'm just at the point where I've just had enough. Like at this point, again, I'm ride or die. Root for the team or get off the ship. That's kind of like where I'm at this point because it's just, again, Lamar is going to be the quarterback for 5 years. If you don't like it, I don't know how else to help you because the Ravens do good. He's going to be a part of that. So I don't know. I'm just frustrated with that.
It is very interesting to see the fan base because before the contract, the fan base was divided. After the contract, I think the fan base is still divided. Time will tell. I mean, that is the only thing I can say. Am I ecstatic that Lamar is locked up for 5 years? As a Ravens fan, I'd be more comfortable with the 3-year contract, but I'm sure Lamar wanted something long-term, 5 years. So that's something you had to bend. The mindset we have, not just with football, but with a lot of society right now, is my way or the highway. And there is no bend or break. And that's unfortunate because negotiations is give a little, take a little. You know, you can't always have everything your way 100%. Maybe we're spoiled because, you know, we can customize our phones and our music and our playlists and everything now. We have everything our way all the time, but that's not how it really works. I think time will tell. I think game 1, September 10th, the Baltimore Ravens go out and they lose by 20 points. These people are going to get even louder saying how terrible of an idea this contract was. If they go out and they win by 50 points, everyone's going to say, oh, I love Lamar. He's the best. We're so excited to have him back. He is the team. If Lamar gets hurt after Thanksgiving and he can't finish the season, you know, people are going to say, why did we give him so much money? You know, there's got to be a pool out there somewhere of an over-under how many games Lamar actually plays in this 5 years. You know, if he's scheduled to play
around, like the Ravens by week 3, they had like Lamar and Odell in like a hospital triage bed, like hung up, like, because obviously the track record is they get off hurt, right, coming off of the injuries. But you know, you're right. And that's another thing. It's going to be more drama and exhausting because it's like with every snap, every pass, everything that's done right or wrong, it's like, I told you so. Ha ha, you're wrong. I mean, it's just like enough. Like, if you can't sit here and enjoy a Ravens football game front to back without all that, like, I just want to be able to enjoy it. Like, enough. Like, throws his first intercept, pick 6. It's like, oh, wasn't worth the money. Okay. Well, Jalen Hurts just got a bag and he had a fumble that was returned for a touchdown to Super Bowl. Why is it okay for him to do that, but Lamar not? He lost the Super Bowl, which is common with Colin Kaepernick and Rex Grossman. I mean, if you want, because I kind of challenged some people on that. They were like, Lamar got 268, won the Super Bowl. And I'm like, Jalen Hurts got 255 and lost the Super Bowl. So what's your point? And I got dead silence on that end because I'm like, yeah, there is no point. He lost the Super Bowl. He didn't deliver a championship to Philly and he got the bag too. Like, you're going to have to pay for the talent. Like, sorry, but you're right. It's just frustrating because we're going to deal with it for the next foreseeable future now. Now that he's locked in, it's, here we go. And I'm just going on record saying I'm going to hold people accountable and I'm not going to choose to partake in it. Like, and you might say, like, holding people accountable is partaking in it. No, I'm not. I don't need to say I told you so. I don't need to go on social media now that he got his bag and go, I knew he was going to be a Raven all along. I'm right. There's no right or wrong. Well, it's just like, again, you can not choose to be not happy for him. That's fine. But it's just like, again, he just got paid. Like, you know, we said Steve Bisciotti's money is the Ravens' money. They want to spend it on Lamar and you feel like he's not worth it. Okay, then go out and start an NFL franchise and pay who you want. Like, you know, I just love all the armchairs. I can do things better than them. Okay, well, then go do it. And I think that's the fun thing about being in this type of environment, sports media, fandoms. You know, everybody's got the opinions and everybody wants to be louder than the other guy, right? And everybody wants to be right, but there's only one answer. Only a few select can be right. And at the end of the day, I think we crave it so much. And because he put that out there on draft night, you're going to get so bad at me. And because it hasn't happened yet, that's the problem. We're all mad at holding Lamar accountable in the same regard because it hasn't been delivered in 5 years. But like I alluded to, don't want to compare, but John Elway took him his whole career. Not to say he probably didn't go on draft night and promise a Super Bowl, but Lamar, at the end of the day, Lamar's story's not being done written. He's been in the league 15 years and we ain't gotten anything out of him. Like, okay, 1 playoff win out of 5, we get it. But what if he goes out in the next 5 years and we get the 2 title games and go out gangbusters and we're making progress? Now what? Now we're making progress. But then the goalposts will be moved. We ain't won one yet. Okay. Well, Burrow's going to get paid too next, and he's lost the Super Bowl, and so did Jalen Hurts. I mean, at the end of the day, there's 1 good team and 31 bad ones at the end of the season. So it ain't like if Lamar don't win it every year, it's going to be a failure anyway. So I digress, but I just wanted to unpack that because you're right. The divisiveness is it's disgusting. Like, why don't what happened to just going to the bank or going to your local watering hole or going to your friend's house and rooting for the team and like high-fiving when team's good, not sitting there and like, you got to deal with everything bad thing Lamar does. And it's like you post about a Ravens win and it's like, yeah, Lamar almost lost you the game. Like, we get it. Like, enough's enough. Like, it just, at that point, I'm just trying to drown out the haters at this point, ignore them. Like,
all they want is the attention, and it's emptiness, man. It's back and forth, and I get it. Good banter's fun with rival teams and Steeler fans, but amongst your fan base, it's getting old real quick, man. And I'm just over it. I think that's where I'm at. I think I'm done now with the drama being done and the contract's there and it's done. It almost feel like it weights off my shoulders because it's like, finally, we don't have to bring up, like you say, like you don't have to bring up the Ravens without hearing Lamar's name. I mean, you still do now, but in a different light. But it's like, you going to sign the deal? Is he worth it? Is it not? Now it's okay. It's done. They met, and what's done is done. But I just wanted to get that out there, brother. I definitely want to have a conversation about it, and that's why I was itching to. I've always wanted to have this conversation with you in the recent weeks, but I was like, you know what? Let's use our forum. Let's talk about it on the call. Raw and real. But that's where I'm at with it. So, but I'm going to choose to hold people accountable. Whether you agree or disagree with that's another story. But frankly, I'm over it. If you want to publicly say it, I'm going to publicly call you out and be like, hey, remember months ago when he signed a contract and you were all pissy? Yeah, you can't root for the team like that. Like, because you know he just threw 3 touchdowns, right? Do you know he just threw the game-winning touchdown you're celebrating? Like, that was Lamar, the guy you just called a bum. So, to me, I just think it's contradicting to rooting for the team if you're going to trash the guy. That's where I'm at. Like, I just don't think you can do it to any fan. Not even Ravens, but I just don't think you can do it to any fan. Like, people don't like Harbaugh. You can be critical. Okay, well, he's the head coach. Like, yeah, we agree. He makes boneheaded mistakes. He gets out coached a lot. But don't mean I'm going to spew straight hatred for Harbs and be like, oh my God. And I'm going to root for the team. Then when they do good, I'm like, well, you know, he's the head coach, right? Like, I just makes you look like a fool when you're just so full of hatred, but you want to turn around and root for the team. Like, I just don't think you can have it both ways. That's how I feel about it. In a long-winded rant. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. I mean, the city will turn purple if they make it to the Super Bowl, if they make it into the playoffs. We know that. We'll see that in January.
I think you're right. The championship gets delivered, all is forgiven, right? No one,
100%.
Everybody forget about what I didn't call them a bum. They just won a championship. What are you talking about? Like, you're right. Winning cures all. Delivering a championship cures all. Yeah. But it's been frustrating, man. And I just want to get back to being one good Ravens flock and rooting for the team. And yeah, if they lose and Lamar does bad and it sucks, yeah, let's wallow in it and let's talk about it. But I'm just tired. That's the thing I'm talking about. I'm just tired of the hatred. That's the key word. Tired of the hatred. There's just straight hate out there, and I just don't know why.
Yeah. Look, we'll see what happens this season. But yep. Lamar bet on himself. Lamar got the contract he wanted. Now he can focus on football 100%. So that's all good. We'll see if it actually pays off. You know, he is a super duper talent, an MVP guy. You know, he's one of the best to do it right now. So there's no taking that away from him. Can he though? Only time will tell. He's got the weapons now. We'll see what happens. But it'll be fun to see. But yeah, fans will never be happy. But that's also why, you know, they don't work in sports.
That's why they're called fans.
Yeah,
we just like to stay stuff. But no, it's interesting, you know. Again, it's all in fun, and I'm just going to choose to root hard. And if you don't like them, fine. I mean,
yeah,
what it is, you know. At the end of the day, but we all get mad when they lose, and we all get mad when they don't play well and they don't win, and we get it. But we'll be along for the ride. And 2023 has been off to a banging start already, and a hot start for the Ravens. And you know what's on the horizon. We get to see not only now that we knew the Ravens that are drafted, we know some players are under contract, but now we get to see when and where this all gets to play out in this season. And later coming this month, I think next week is the NFL signing a schedule release. So me and you'll be there to reveal and break it down.
Yep.
And get to see and circle some dates where the rivals are playing, or I should say when the rivals are playing, not where. We know where. We know the opponents. Now we just got to have the dust settle and make it all plan out and make our plans. And I can't wait to see how the holidays will shake out. And, you know, the Ravens, you know, I know that today there was a leak already. The Germany games have been decided. The 4 teams playing in Germany, there'll be 2 games in Germany. And they've been decided. I don't know if you saw that news break. So the Ravens are not part of that. So, no, so the Ravens are not in Munich.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Bears and Chiefs, Saints and Patriots are expected to be the 2 games played in Germany. So you're going to have, again, Bears versus Chiefs and Saints versus Patriots. So the Ravens are not a part of that, but there's the 4 teams. Last year they did an experiment. It was Seahawks and Buccaneers, Tom Brady being a part of that. It was the first game in Munich, and now they're adding 2 more on the international series. So big things, man, big things. And yeah, I can't wait to see how it all shakes out. But as of right now, the Ravens doesn't look like they're going to be on any international games. But we'll see if that's even changes this year and if it was a secret out all along. But I can't wait for the schedule release apart from the draft. Again, this is another thing I look forward to with you because you get to see how it all shakes out and see how many away games we go in a row and how many home games we have in a row and where the divisional games line up first. And if we're going to play in Cincinnati at the end of the year for like the 10th straight year as usual. Can't wait. You already know that the end game is going to be in Cincinnati. So it's kind of like where the other 16 games going to be played because you already know what the last one's going to be. And I always look forward to that first one. What's that first one like?
Yeah, and the AFC is a scary beast right now. Like the NFC, it's a cakewalk for them.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
He's a Jet.
I still can't believe that.
Weird.
But anything else we should talk about on the show?
No, brother. I think we got it, man. We had some got some good things out there. So no, I think me and you have now can digress off our points, and I'm going to give a hearty quote: "The Raven never mow."
All right, everybody. Well, if you'd like to continue the conversation with Josh or I, you can go over to our Discord, discord.gg/thecallpodcast. Make sure you follow us there, join our server, and we can talk all things Baltimore Ravens. Tell us what you thought about this draft class and what you think of Lamar's contract over on Discord. Now, you can also check us out over on Facebook, facebook.com/thecallpodcast. Like us over there. Whenever a new show comes out, you'll be the first to know, and you can listen to the show directly over on our Facebook. Now, we do the show for free. You listen, stream, and download for free on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player.fm, Overcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. All we ask in return is for you to please spread the word about the show. Write us an Apple Podcast review, rate us over on Spotify, and then let people know on Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and Pinterest and Instagram and Reddit and Snapchat and Twitch and TikTok and Hive and Discord, anywhere you're social on the web or with your phone. Say, I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. I listen to The Call, and you should too. So that is pretty much it for the show this week. Maybe we're back next week. If the schedule comes out, Josh and I will get together and be able to talk about that, but it all depends on what the NFL does next. And we got rookie camp this weekend, so if any news breaks there as well, we'll be back to talk about it. But that's why you got to follow us on Discord. That's why you follow us over on Facebook, because you never know when a new show comes out during the off season. So that is pretty much it for the show this week. Josh, take us out the way you always do.
Brandon, man, thank you so much. It's been a lot to unpack here over the last week or so for Ravens. It's been some good discussions, and great to also discuss with you guys out there on the social apps. It's been fun to ask about draft strategy, who we think are going to get, breaking down picks, breaking down the Ravens strategy of what they might do next, breaking down the Lamar saga that's always ongoing. It's always good to chat with you guys out there. So keep the conversations going. We love to always converse and talk Ravens football and whatever else is out there. We love you guys. We appreciate the support. And now that we have gotten through the Lamar contract situation, we got through the draft. Looking forward to some schedule releases. Looking forward to some mini camp discussions. And I can't wait as we press forward through the offseason and hit our checkpoints, right? Because like you said earlier, we're 3 months away from preseason football. I'm 2 months away from putting draft parties together for fantasy. So it's going to come quick. So don't want to wish the summer away, but I feel like I sleep and I wake up and like 2 weeks pass. So enjoy it while you can, but we're going to be back at it in action in due time down in Baltimore and the rest of the cities. And I can't wait to get it started. I remiss before we head out. No, this covers the NFL, but I will say, inaugural season coming back, I say for the third time for the XFL. We have to give a shout out to our neighbors down the south. DC Defenders made the XFL title game. I don't know if you know that.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I kind of went. They were 9-1 this year. So they play a 10-game schedule, 10-week schedule. They were 9-1, best record. They won last week, and they are in the XFL championship, which is next Saturday night against the Arlington Renegades. So if you want the football fix in the spring, I know USFL is going on. I haven't really checked out the games there. I saw a few highlights. But for those that are hankering for some NFL or NFL football action, XFL Championship culminates Saturday night on the 13th. So, yeah, can't wait to see how it all plays out. I don't know if you've dabbled in XFL at all this year. I've caught a few games. I wanted to go to a game live and never did. Maybe next season I'll get around to it. But for some of the action I've saw, I was really enjoying it. And I love the rule changes that they implemented. I hope the NFL implements some of those into the league. And not only that, but a few players have gotten the call up. I think a player off the Battlehawks from St. Louis got a call up for Miami for a workout for Miami Dolphins. So this could work out well for players because you're seeing a lot of former NFL players, former NFL coaches in there, and a lot of familiar names that, hey, this could be another second chance for them to get rejuvenated in their careers. So, again, whether you like or hate the product, it's an opportunity for people. And you have to remember that with jobs always being scarce, it's what it is. It's another avenue, provides people an opportunity. Same thing. We're down at wrestling AEW. AEW provides another avenue for the wrestlers and that entertainment industry. So, you can have the rivals with Live Golf, PGA, AEW, WWE, XFL, NFL. I don't look at it as rivals. I look at it as it can either be healthy competition or it's another avenue for players to do what they need to do. So they're growing the sport. I love it. So I just wanted to plug that in there for all those who want the football fix, and we'll be here every step of the way to cover NFL. Not only that, but our Baltimore Ravens. So with that, I'll leave you with this. The ink is dry on the contract, but you know what? As always, we're going to choose to rise above it, and let's fly high.
This has been a production of Brando Cash Entertainment. Music by Brad Lepore and Daniel Kelly from the DBK Studio. For more information, go to brandocash.com.